The Aga Khan Award for Architecture recognizes different kinds of architecture, let's say, because we can have a small school in a rural area, a remote rural area, up to the conservation project, area conservation of a whole city. And like what we had recently from a school which was made with bamboo in Bangladesh to a series of parks, 400 parks in Tatarstan, in Russian Federation, or the whole city of Muharraq in Bahrain. So these are large-scale and small-scale projects at the same time are recognized. That's why that the impact is very different. Each of these projects, depending on the scale, they have different impacts on their context, on the society. Some of them are to be learned from experiences. And sometimes what is important with the Aga Khan Award for Architecture is that we're trying to not just go to the project itself, but what lessons can be learned, because lessons from good achievements, the achievements which are important, can be used in different contexts, in different countries. So interconnection between different people in neighborhoods, in cities, are very important. And that's why that you have to have a sense of belonging of those people. That is where you have to work on. There was a project which won an award in Copenhagen, which was public spaces created for them, which there in this area in the past 2 decades, people from some 60 countries and ethnic groups have been living in that area. And the only way to make these people interact was to have spaces that they will feel that they are a part of it. What happened is that they started a dialogue with all these 50, 60 different ethnic groups which were living there. The artists work with them, bringing works of art, pieces of art from each of these countries to this. And the architects and the landscape architects successfully use these elements in this urban fabric. And now, interesting enough, when you go to Copenhagen, one of the 7, 8 places that it's in all tourist guides marked that has to be seen is Superkillen, an area which people did not dare to go there 15, 20 years ago. The vibrant community is where you have got the people go out shopping, they are meeting, there are culture centers, there are all other leisure spaces which people feel involved and they can communicate with each other. They will have spaces that they can share experiences, share ideas, share the living. And that is a vibrant place, not those which are beautiful, very well designed, but nobody dares to go. It is very difficult to predict the future of the city because when you study and look at all our cities, they have been changing in different ways. It depends on the population growth. It depends on the economic situation of each city. So one cannot compare, Dubai to London or to Rome, because they're very different in their evolution in the past so many years. But what's important is that in a number of cities around the world, the expansion is so rapid that it doesn't leave time for the citizens and for the politicians and everyone to think about what they're doing. And that is where sometimes danger comes in the cities. Cities which can become obsolete in a as soon as with the same speed that they've been built, they're the same speed they can be obsolete. Because if all of a sudden, if a city is built upon resource, which is tourism, which is beach, which whatever it is, if it's only on one thing, then at the same time it becomes big, it can lose that. So that is what we have to look again at, the way that we're looking at the cities that have been growing and like mushrooms in all over the world today. I think instead of sustainability, we have to use the word responsibility. How responsible we are in choosing our design, our materials, how we're going to have the impact. That is more important than just the word sustainability. No architecture work is a work of one person. It is the work of many people. Architecture offices are composed of many different professionals The role of the client is very important, because it's the client who sometimes says what they want. So it is not only that, this myth that this architect comes and takes the magic pen and makes the design. Artists, musicians, other creators, they are doing something on their own. They have got this creative product, which is their own work. Usually it can be a work of one person, or the author of a book. But architecture is not. Culture is evolving every day. There's nothing as a fixed culture is the same thing as not a fixed city. It's urban places, cities, they change, and the culture of the cities do change as well. It's not the same, because the people who are the users, they are changing every day. So how we can adapt all these and use the culture as I said, as a motive, as a catalyst of bringing together the people and the society to have a better kind of a quality in that city of life. I don't believe that there's something called a culture in any society. So today, each of us, we are made of different layers of cultures. If you have these multi-layers, none of them will undermine the other. It's when in a society that we learn how to use them all at the same time, that's where we have a new culture which comes out, which will be successful. And I think the word it is that how you can have these layers act together in harmony. Ministers who are responsible in different countries for culture, sometimes they've got many other responsibilities at the same time, communications or heritage, etc. They're all the same, because all of them is a part of the way that we live this culture. And we have to develop them all at the same time. What is the most important thing is in specific countries sometimes, that when it comes to budgets, when you put how much money you put in for each of the ministries, sometimes culture gets the less, because it's not seen as a need. What I was explaining, a basic need. Culture is a basic need, and it has to be seen at the same level with all other economic factors. So the role of the ministers of culture is how to convince the own people in the other ministers and the other people responsible, to show them that culture can have an important impact in economic leverage and the quality of life of people. That is the most important role. And the investment in culture is not something which is lost money. It is a money that is, if it's rightly done, has a very important impact. Time is not important. You can do a project, because all the culture, these big projects, they take many years to be achieved. And it is very important not to lose that vision.